Welcome to African Tales by Nathan. Don't forget to like, share, and tell us your thoughts in the comments.
Nobody understood why Adanna would open a baby daycare beside a cemetery. Not the neighbors, not the elders, not even the workers who built the place. But the most frightening part wasn't where she built it. It was what began to happen inside that daycare on the very first week. Because every night after she closed, the toys refused to stay where she kept them. Tiny chairs shifted, baby cots rocked softly on their own, and sometimes, just when she turned off the lights, she heard the soft, chilling sound of a baby giggling, even though no single child was inside. But the true horror began one evening when she was locking up and suddenly saw something standing quietly behind the first tombstone. A woman, dressed in faded cloth, holding a baby doll with no face, smiling at her, waiting. And that was the night Adanna finally realized. Some places are not meant for the living, and some cries are not from this world. Please like, share, and subscribe. Adanna was 24, a recent graduate, and like many young dreamers in the city, she believed life would open its arms wide once she completed school. It didn't. Months after graduation, her inbox was full of, "We regret to inform you," her savings were disappearing. Her confidence was shrinking. Her mother had died years ago, and her father, who had been a police officer, passed when she was still in the university. She felt completely alone. One hot afternoon, as she sat on her bed scrolling through job boards, an old memory floated into her mind. Her father's voice saying, "Adanna, my beautiful daughter, I may not have much, but this land will speak for you one day." It was the only inheritance he left, a plot of land at the edge of the city, gifted to him by the local government chairman as a reward for bravery. Her father never got the chance to build on it. Adanna went to inspect it. The land was beautiful, wide, level, and close to the main road. But there was one problem. It sat directly beside a cemetery. Tall iron gates guarded rows of old graves. Weeds danced around crooked tombstones. The air always felt slightly colder there. But for a young graduate with little money, it wasn't a disadvantage. It was an opportunity. "If I can't afford rent," she whispered, "then I'll build here." She had always loved children. Her dream was to open a baby daycare, a safe place where babies could be cared for while parents worked in the city. She took her small savings, walked into a local engineer's office and said, "I want to build something beautiful but cheap." The engineer studied the land and nodded. "If we use blocks for the foundation and half walls, then finish the structure with wood and reinforced planks, it will look like a full modern house when painted." "Will it be strong?" she asked. "Very strong. Nobody will even know it's wood." 3 weeks later, a beautiful daycare building stood on her father's land. Painted bright, decorated with cartoon animals, flowers, numbers, and alphabets. Behind it was a small one-room living space, so she wouldn't have to pay rent. People praised her for her courage. Others whispered, "How can someone raise children beside a cemetery? Spirits walk there at night. Oh, this girl doesn't know anything." Adanna didn't care. She believed in God. She believed in hard work. She believed that spirits were stories old people exaggerated. She had no idea how wrong she was. The first day the daycare opened, the sun was bright and hopeful. Adanna wore a simple gown and styled her hair neatly. She swept the entire compound, arranged tiny, beautiful and colourful chairs, washed toys, and placed baby mats near the windows. She even got snacks for children who might come that morning. She was nervous but excited. Her first child arrived at 8:13 a.m. Little Chica, barely 1 year old, with big, beautiful, curious eyes. Her mother, Ijeoma, smiled gratefully. "I've been waiting for a place like this, and I love it because it is so close to my place of work." "God bless you," she said. Adanna smiled proudly. 1 baby today meant 10 babies tomorrow. Soon after, another woman arrived with twins, a boy and a girl. Then a banker rushed in with her baby strapped to her back. By noon, Adanna had 6 children in the daycare. She sang with them, fed them, played with them. Everything felt perfect. Around 2 p.m., one of the baby's little chicas suddenly stopped playing and stared toward the window facing the cemetery. Her eyes widened. Then she lifted her small hand and waved to nothing, to no one. Or so Adanna thought. She shivered lightly. "Chica, what are you waving at?" she asked, trying to smile. But the baby didn't blink. Her little lips curved into a slow smile. Then she giggled. Adanna shook it off. "Children imagine things," she whispered. But deep inside her chest, something cold fluttered. It was the first sign, the first warning. But she ignored it. After closing hours, she cleaned the daycare carefully. She packed the toys neatly in the storage basket and arranged the baby chairs in a straight line. Everything spotless. She locked the doors, but at exactly midnight, inside the dark, silent daycare, one of the baby chairs moved slightly, just a soft scrape, as if someone small had dragged it across the floor. But Adanna did not know. Not yet. That first night in her small back room was peaceful at first. She lay on her bed, thinking about the beautiful future she was building. She prayed. She thanked God. She believed everything was falling into place. But around 12:43 a.m., a sound woke her. Very faint, very soft, like the whisper of a child. Ah, ah, ah. She even got snacks for children who might come that morning. She sat up. Her heart thumped slowly. She listened again. Silence. Maybe it was a dream. She drank water and lay back down. Then, giggling, a baby, giggling. Her heart stopped. Slowly, quietly, she stood up and opened her back room door, stepping into the tiny corridor that connected to the daycare. Her hand trembled as she turned the doorknob. The daycare was dark. Moonlight spilled in from the window. Everything seemed normal. The chairs were neatly arranged. No, they weren't. One of the baby chairs was no longer in the line. It stood alone in the center of the room, facing the cemetery window. Adanna froze. She didn't breathe. She didn't blink. She didn't move. Her eyes grew wide as she whispered to herself, I arranged these chairs. I arranged them myself." She leaned against the wall, feeling her legs weaken. Was someone inside? Did she forget something? Did she leave the chair there by mistake? No, she didn't. As she stood trembling, a soft, cold wind slipped in through the slightly open window, the same window where little Chica had waved earlier. Adanna ran back into her small room and locked the door. She didn't sleep that night. By morning, she decided the best way to fight fear was to pretend it didn't exist. She opened the daycare with a bright smile. She welcomed parents. She played with the children. She laughed. She prayed quietly in her heart. But the babies, they kept staring at the cemetery, pointing, laughing, crying suddenly for no reason. And twice that day, Adanna felt a strange presence behind her, like someone was watching her. Not a child, not a person. Something else. Something she couldn't explain. Something that made her skin crawl. By the second week, the daycare had grown faster than Adanna imagined. Mothers from the nearby estates rushed to her daily because the daycare was affordable, clean, and cheerful. The building was bright, well-painted, and full of life. Some said it was the most beautiful daycare in the entire city. Everywhere smelled of baby powder and laughter. But the strange things continued. One Thursday afternoon, Mrs. Okoro, the mother of twins, came to pick up her children. Her face was tense. "Adanna," she said softly, "there's something I need to discuss with you." Adanna smiled warmly. "Is everything okay? How are the children?" "They are fine," she replied, looking around nervously. "But yesterday night, they refused to sleep. Both of them kept pointing at the window, saying, 'The woman is there.'" Adanna blinked slowly. "Oh, children dream a lot," she said. "Sometimes they see cartoons and imagine things. But they describe the same woman," the mother whispered. "Tall, wearing long cloth, holding a baby doll." Adanna's heart skipped. That was exactly what she saw the night the chair moved. But she forced a smile. "Auntie Okoro, please don't worry yourself," she said as she handed her the twins' bags. "Children have wild imaginations." The woman didn't look convinced. "Are you sure nothing strange is happening here?" Adanna laughed lightly. "My sister, spirits don't exist. I believe in God. The Bible says it is appointed for a man to die once, and after that, judgment. No roaming around, no ghosts, no spirits. But this daycare is close to—" "Please don't finish that sentence," Adanna cut in gently. "This is my father's land. There was no job anywhere. Am I supposed to leave it empty because of a few graves?" She waved her hand dismissively. "The children are safe, I promise." Mrs. Okoro nodded slowly, but walked away with uncertainty written all over her face. Later that evening, after the last child left, Adanna called her closest friend, Oluchi, and told her everything, the giggle at night, the chair moving, the baby waving at the cemetery. Oluchi's eyes widened through the video call. "Adanna, this is not normal. I told you before that cemetery is not ordinary." Adanna rolled her eyes playfully. "Please, don't start now. Spirits do not exist. The dead are dead." "Then what moved the chair?" "Wind," Adanna answered quickly. "What of the giggling? Maybe one of the toys had batteries. What of the baby waving?" "Babies wave at anything." Oluchi sighed deeply. "My friend, allow my pastor to come and pray in your compound. It won't cost you anything." "There's no need," Adanna insisted. "Let's not disturb pastors every minute. Nothing is wrong here. It's just bad coincidence." Her friend shook her head. "I hope you know what you're doing." Adanna laughed confidently. "I do. The daycare is growing. This is the perfect spot. People see the daycare from the main road. God is blessing me. Forget all these ghost stories." But when she ended the call and tried to sleep, her heart felt strangely heavy. At exactly 2:11 a.m., she heard it again. Soft, slow, a baby crying. Not loud, not sharp, just a weak, lonely cry drifting through the walls. She sat up immediately. Her breathing quickened. Then the cry stopped. Silence. Complete silence. She buried her head in her pillow and prayed quietly until morning. The daycare became the talk of the city. People were impressed that a young graduate built something so beautiful from scratch. Others called her brave for starting a daycare beside a cemetery. "She's a smart girl," some said. "She's foolish," others whispered. "She is tempting fate." But the children kept coming. 10 babies became 15. 15 became 20. She even hired 2 assistants. They helped bathe babies, change diapers, prepare meals, and sing nursery rhymes. Every day her account balance grew. Every day she smiled more confidently. Every day she believed she had made the right decision. But the strange things didn't stop. One day, a banker rushed into the compound to pick up her 3-year-old son. She was sweating and breathless. "Adanna, please, I need to ask you a question," she said, holding on to her son tightly. "Is everything okay?" Adanna asked. "No, something is wrong." The woman swallowed hard. "Yesterday night, my son woke up 3 times crying. He kept saying he saw a woman wearing white cloth and holding a toy baby." Adanna froze. White cloth, toy baby? Just like the shadow she saw. The woman continued shakily. "He said the woman told him, 'Come and play with us.'" "Who is us?" Adanna forced a smile. "Auntie, all children have imaginary friends. It's common." "My son doesn't hallucinate," the woman snapped. "He is very calm. He even described the cemetery. How would he know that if he hasn't been seeing something?" Adanna opened her mouth, closed it, then laughed weakly. "I'm sure he overheard adults talking." The woman frowned deeply. "Please, bring a pastor here. Even if you don't believe in spirits, at least pray for the daycare. Children are involved." "There is no need," Adanna insisted. The woman stared at her, confused and hurt. "So you won't even consider it?" "Everything here is fine. Nothing is wrong," Adanna said firmly. The mother left with a worried expression. Later that week, 2 more parents complained that their toddlers cried at night saying, "The lady at Auntie Adanna's place wants to carry me." One child even refused to come again. But Adanna told everyone the same thing. They are children. Their imagination is wild. She told herself that too, even when she no longer believed it. Then came the night that changed everything. It was around 1:30 a.m. when a strong wind blew through her window. She stood up sleepily to close it. As she reached for the frame, she heard a tiny knock behind her. Tuck, tuck, tuck. She froze. The knock came again, slower this time. Toke, toke. Her heart hammered violently. She turned slowly toward the direction of the sound, the daycare door. Someone or something was knocking from inside the daycare. Her legs trembled. She forced herself to speak. "Who is there?" Silence. Then suddenly, talk, talk, talk. 3 loud knocks. She screamed and ran back into her room, locking the door and falling to the floor. She sat there shaking until morning. By sunrise, her eyes were swollen from crying. She washed her face, swept the daycare, and forced a smile as parents arrived. But deep down, she knew something was terribly wrong. One Friday morning, an elderly man stopped in front of the daycare while Adanna was washing feeding bottles. He looked old enough to be her grandfather. "Good morning, my daughter," he said gently. "Good morning, sir," she replied, still washing. "You built this place yourself?" he asked. "Yes, sir. It was my late father's land." The man sighed. "Young people don't listen nowadays." Adanna paused. "Sir, do you know why that cemetery is feared?" She shook her head. The man leaned on his walking stick. "Many years ago, during the Civil War, there was a woman named Nwakaego who lived near this place. She lost her child during childbirth and she never recovered. She died with the baby in her arms. They buried her here. People say her spirit never left." Adanna felt her chest tighten. "Stories, sir, they are just village stories." The man shook his head slowly. "For years, people who built close to this area complained. Strange noises, babies laughing at night, Shadows walking between the graves. Adanna swallowed hard. The man pointed a trembling finger at her. You are a strong girl. I admire your courage, but do not let courage become blindness. Protect yourself. Sir, I believe in God, she said firmly. There are no spirits here. The man nodded sadly. That's what everyone says until they see one. He walked away slowly, leaving Adanna trembling. That night, around 12:58 a.m., she lay awake staring at the ceiling. She told herself not to worry. She quoted Bible verses. She prayed. But suddenly, the air inside her room became cold. Very cold. Her curtain lifted slightly, even though the window was locked. Then she heard it. The sound she feared most. A baby giggling. Right inside the daycare. Not soft this time. Loud. Clear. Playful. Her heart almost stopped. She grabbed her phone flashlight, hand shaking violently. She opened her room door slowly and stepped into the corridor. The daycare door was closed, but the giggling continued. She whispered, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. She touched the daycare door handle. Her fingers trembled uncontrollably. She pushed it open. The room was dark, silent, empty. Then, with the speed of lightning, a baby toy car rolled from the storage shelf across the floor and stopped at her feet. Adanna screamed and ran outside into the compound. As she stood under the moonlight, shaking, she looked toward the cemetery. And that was when she saw her. The woman, tall, thin, half-transparent, carrying a baby doll with no face. Her eyes glowing like dying candles, staring at Adanna, smiling slowly. Adanna burst into tears and fell to her knees. Her chest tightened, her breath caught. The world around her blurred. She whispered, voice shaking, God, help me, please. And just like that, the woman vanished. But Adanna knew. This was only the beginning of what was waiting for her. There was a reason the cemetery watched her daycare. There was a reason the babies waved and cried. There was a reason toys moved at night. And soon, Adanna did not sleep that night. She sat on the cold floor of her room, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the closed door of the daycare with wide, terrified eyes. For the first time since opening the daycare, she was truly afraid. Not confused. Not unsettled. Not uncertain. Afraid. Her hands shook. Her breath trembled. Tears soaked her chin. She whispered again and again, God, please. What is happening? What is this? By dawn, her eyes were swollen red. When the first parent came to drop off her child, Adanna quickly wiped her tears, forced a smile, and opened the gate. But fear was in her face. The parent noticed immediately. Are you okay? She asked. Yes, I'm fine, Adanna lied. But children are more honest. 3 toddlers refused to enter the daycare. They stood outside the gate, crying and pulling their parents backward. One little girl said, while shaking, I don't want the lady in white to follow me again. Adanna's heart dropped to her stomach. The parents turned sharply to look at her. What lady? They asked the child. The little girl pointed to the cemetery. Everyone froze. Adanna swallowed hard. Children imagine things. She probably saw a bird or... No, the child interrupted. The lady was here yesterday. She was looking at baby Nonso. Parents exchanged worried glances. Around noon, another mother came angrily. Adanna, she said sharply, my son keeps hearing footsteps and crying about some auntie at the window. Please, what exactly is happening here? Adanna forced a weak smile. Madam, I promise. No, don't promise. Explain. Her hands trembled. There is really nothing. But suddenly, a loud thud came from inside the daycare. Everyone turned. Adanna's chest tightened. Another thud. Another. The parents stepped back, grabbing their children. One whispered, "God forbid. I cannot leave my child here again." And they walked away. The rest followed. Within minutes, the daycare was empty. Adanna stood alone, feeling like the world had crumbled around her. She locked the gate and ran to her room, her heart racing. She fell on her knees. God, what do I do? Why is this happening? I thought spirits didn't exist. I thought... Her voice broke. She covered her face and cried. For the first time in her life, she admitted the truth. She was wrong. Dead wrong. Spirits exist. And one of them had taken interest in her daycare. That evening, Oluchi arrived without warning. The moment she saw Adanna's swollen eyes and shaking hands, she hugged her tightly. "Talk to me," she whispered. "What happened?" This time, Adanna didn't lie. She told her everything. The knocking, the toy car rolling by itself, the giggling, the woman she saw in the cemetery. Oluchi's eyes filled with tears. "I warned you," she said softly. "But now is not the time to blame. Now we must fight." Adanna shook her head violently. No, I can't stay here another night. I need to leave." Oluchi held her shoulders. "My pastor must come. This thing is spiritual. But before he comes, we need to know what we are fighting." Adanna nodded weakly. At 7:40 p.m., they went to look for the elderly man who had spoken to Adanna earlier in the week. They found him sitting outside his house with a lantern. He looked up slowly. "You have come." Adanna burst into tears immediately. "Sir, I'm sorry. I didn't believe you. Please tell me everything. What happened here? Who is that woman?" The old man sighed deeply. Her name was Nwakaiko. She was the midwife of this district during the Civil War. Everyone brought their children to her. She lost her own child during childbirth, but she still cared for others. He paused, eyes filled with painful memory. But one day, soldiers raided this area. They shot her while she held a crying newborn. She died protecting that child. They buried her with the baby still in her arms. Adanna felt her stomach twist. "She is not evil," the man continued gently. "She is lonely. She wanders, searching, carrying the memory of the child she lost. That is why children see her. She looks for babies." Tears rolled down Adanna's face uncontrollably. "Why did she come to my daycare?" she whispered. "Because you built something full of children, right beside her grave. You awakened her longing." Adanna covered her mouth, shaking. Oluchi held her tightly. "So what do we do?" Oluchi asked urgently. "How do we stop this?" "You cannot stop her alone," he said. "But prayer, strong prayer, can give her rest." He handed Adanna a small folded paper. "This is the prayer they used many years ago to cleanse this place. Use it and call a real pastor, not a fake one." Adanna took the paper with trembling hands. "Thank you," she whispered. As they walked home, the wind howled strangely like a woman crying from a distance. Adanna held Oluchi's hand tighter. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know," Oluchi replied, "but you won't face it alone." That night, they didn't sleep, because something waited for them. The pastor, Pastor Ibe, arrived at exactly 11:45 p.m. He walked in quietly, Bible in hand, eyes serious. Adanna, he said gently, fear is a door. You must close it tonight. She nodded shakily. They began prayers. Not loud, not dramatic, but calm, deep, and powerful. Around 12:18 a.m., the entire daycare building shook slightly. A cold wind rushed through the room. The toys rattled. The pastor opened his Bible and placed it on the center of the daycare floor. In a firm voice he said, "Whatever has tied itself to this land, let the light of God expose you." Suddenly, the door slammed open. A baby's weak cry echoed from the hallway. Adanna screamed. The pastor kept praying. The cry grew louder. A shadow stretched slowly across the floor, then rose, forming a tall, thin silhouette. A woman, half transparent, holding a limp baby doll, her head lowered. She walked toward Adanna. Adanna collapsed into tears. "Please," she whispered, shaking violently. "I'm sorry. I didn't know. Please." Pastor Ebe stepped in front of her. "Woman," he said boldly, "you died with pain, but your peace has come. Release this place." The spirit lifted her face. Her eyes were dim, full of sorrow, not anger. She pointed toward the daycare cribs, then toward the cemetery, as if saying, "Give me rest." Pastor Ebe raised the paper the old man gave them. He read the cleansing prayer. As he prayed, the spirit's form flickered, then softened, then faded slowly like smoke. The last thing to disappear was her sad smile. Then, silence. Total silence. A gentle wind blew. A soft warmth filled the room. Pastor Ebe closed his Bible. "It is done." Adanna collapsed into Oluchi's arms, sobbing with relief. She had never felt so broken, so humbled, so grateful to still be alive. The daycare reopened slowly. Parents returned. Children played peacefully. No strange cries. No shadows. No knocking. Adanna placed flowers near the edge of the cemetery every Saturday for Nwakaego, the midwife who died protecting a child. And each time she dropped the flowers, she whispered, "Rest well, and thank you for letting us live." She never joked about spirits again. She never dismissed warnings again. She learned that faith is not the absence of wisdom. She learned that respecting the unseen is not fear, it is humility. And she understood that some lands carry stories, and some stories carry spirits, but with prayer, truth, and humility, even the oldest spirits can find rest. Moral of the story: not every danger is physical. Not every warning is foolish. Not every land is empty. And not every silence means safety. We must never allow stubbornness or pride blind us from wisdom. Listen when you are warned. Respect what you do not understand. And always pray over what you build, because not all battles are visible. Above all, never underestimate the world of the unseen. If this story touched you, if it opened your eyes, if it reminded you to always stay spiritually alert, tell us in the comments. What lesson did you learn from Adanna's story? And do you think you could run a business beside a cemetery? Share your thoughts, we want to hear from you. Thanks, please like, share and subscribe for more gripping tales every week.